Before we begin, I have a question for you. Have you ever heard someone sing a legendary song so beautifully that it made you question everything you thought you knew? Stay with me until the very end, because what happened on that stage shocked everyone, moved thousands to tears, and proved that true talent can come from the most unexpected places. And if stories like this inspire you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another unforgettable journey. The theater buzzed with excitement long before the lights dimmed. Thousands of people filled every seat, chatting, laughing, and wondering who would become the next unforgettable performer. Cameras glided across the audience while judges smiled politely, expecting another long day of auditions. Most contestants were talented, but only a handful ever created moments that people remembered for years. No one in that theater realized that within a few minutes, they would witness a performance they would never forget. Backstage stood a quiet Filipino man named Miguel Santos, 32 years old, wearing a simple navy blue suit that had clearly been tailored years ago and carefully preserved. His polished black shoes reflected the bright backstage lights, but his trembling hands revealed the nervousness he desperately tried to hide. Around his neck hung a tiny silver cross that his late mother had given him before she passed away. Every few seconds he touched it gently, whispering a silent prayer. Miguel had never lived an easy life. He grew up in a small fishing village in the Philippines where electricity sometimes disappeared for days. His father spent endless nights at sea hoping to catch enough fish to feed the family, while his mother cleaned houses in nearby towns. There was little money for toys, vacations, or expensive dreams. Yet every Sunday afternoon their tiny wooden house filled with music. Miguel's father adored Elvis Presley. Their old cassette player barely worked, often chewing up the tape before spitting it back out. Still, every weekend Elvis's voice echoed through their home. Young Miguel listened carefully, not just to the melody but to every emotion hidden inside every lyric. He wasn't trying to imitate Elvis. He simply wanted to understand why those songs made his father smile after exhausting weeks at sea. As Miguel grew older, he discovered something unusual. Whenever he sang Elvis songs, neighbors quietly gathered outside the windows. Some smiled. Others cried. Elderly couples held hands while listening. Children stopped playing. Even stray dogs lay peacefully near the porch as though the music itself carried comfort. People constantly told him, "You sound like Elvis." Miguel always smiled politely and answered, "No. I just sing with my heart." Life, however, had different plans. Instead of becoming a singer, Miguel found work repairing fishing boats. Every morning before sunrise he covered his hands with grease and worked until sunset beneath the burning tropical heat. Music became something he enjoyed only after long workdays. At night he sang in small restaurants, family gatherings, weddings, and local festivals. The audience loved him, but applause never paid enough to change his family's life. Then tragedy struck. His father became seriously ill. Hospital bills piled up faster than Miguel could earn money. Every extra performance went toward medicine instead of savings. Despite everyone's efforts, his father passed away peacefully while listening to an old Elvis recording. Before taking his final breath, he whispered something Miguel would never forget. "Don't sing like Elvis, sing better, because your voice carries your own soul." Those words echoed inside Miguel's heart for years. After losing both parents, Miguel nearly gave up singing completely. He convinced himself that dreams belonged to younger people, richer people, luckier people. Instead, he focused on surviving. Every paycheck went toward supporting his younger sister through college. Watching her graduate became his greatest achievement. One evening, his sister handed him a small envelope. Inside was an audition invitation. Without telling him, she had secretly submitted videos of his performances to a famous international talent competition. Miguel laughed. "They'll never choose someone like me." His sister smiled. They already did. Weeks later he found himself standing backstage, waiting for his name to be called. The announcer's voice echoed. "Please welcome Miguel Santos, from the Philippines." Thunderous applause greeted him as he walked onto the enormous stage. Bright lights blinded him. The judges smiled politely. One asked, "Miguel, tell us about yourself." He took a deep breath. "I repair fishing boats and sing whenever life gives me the chance." Another judge smiled. "Why Elvis?" Miguel looked toward the audience before quietly answering. "My father believed music could heal broken hearts. Elvis helped heal his. Maybe tonight, my voice can heal someone else's." The audience applauded warmly. Then came the familiar question. "What will you sing today?" Miguel answered softly. "An Elvis classic, but from my own heart." The music began. Silence filled the theater. His first note floated gently through the room. Immediately something extraordinary happened. People stopped moving. Camera operators froze. Even the judges leaned forward. Miguel wasn't copying Elvis. He wasn't impersonating him. Instead, he transformed the song into something deeply personal. Every lyric carried memories of childhood, sacrifice, loss, hope, and unconditional love. His rich voice possessed warmth, power, vulnerability, and astonishing control. High notes soared effortlessly before melting into delicate whispers that made the audience hold their breath. Halfway through the performance, one judge slowly removed her glasses to wipe away tears. Another shook his head in disbelief. The audience erupted into spontaneous applause before the song had even finished. Miguel closed his eyes. He imagined standing once again inside that tiny wooden house in the Philippines. He imagined his father smiling proudly. He imagined his mother quietly singing beside him. Every emotion flowed into the final chorus. The last note echoed through the theater longer than anyone expected. Absolute silence followed. Then, the entire audience exploded to its feet. A standing ovation. People screamed. People cried. Some simply stared in amazement. The applause continued for nearly 2 full minutes. Miguel stood motionless, overwhelmed by what had just happened. One judge finally spoke. "I've heard Elvis songs thousands of times." Another interrupted. "But tonight, I didn't hear Elvis." The audience became silent. The judge continued. "I heard Miguel." Thunderous applause returned. Another judge smiled warmly. "You respected the original while creating something completely your own. That's incredibly rare." The toughest judge leaned toward his microphone. "I came here expecting another tribute performance." He paused. What I witnessed was artistry. The crowd cheered louder than ever. Then something unforgettable happened. One judge pressed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti exploded from above. Miguel looked around in complete disbelief. He covered his face with both hands as tears streamed down his cheeks. The audience roared. Backstage contestants hugged one another despite being competitors. His sister rushed onto the stage, embracing him tightly while crying uncontrollably. Miguel whispered only one sentence. "We did it. Dad." The moment quickly spread across social media. Millions watched within hours. Comments flooded every platform. "I've never cried over an Elvis song before. This isn't imitation. This is pure emotion." He honored a legend while becoming one himself. News organizations interviewed him. Radio stations invited him. Concert promoters called daily. But Miguel remained exactly the same humble man. When reporters asked what success meant, he answered simply. "Success isn't fame. Success is knowing my parents would be proud." Months later, Miguel returned to his hometown. Instead of buying expensive cars or luxury homes, he built a music school for children whose families couldn't afford lessons. Inside every classroom hung one simple message. Your voice doesn't have to sound like anyone else's. It only needs to tell the truth. Children from poor families learned instruments free of charge. Some dreamed of becoming singers. Others simply discovered confidence they never knew they possessed. Miguel personally visited classes every week. He reminded students that talent opens doors, but humility keeps them open. Years later, one of those children stood on another famous stage, winning a global competition. When asked who inspired him, the young singer smiled proudly. "A fisherman from the Philippines who taught me that music comes from the heart." Miguel watched from home with tears in his eyes. The dream had come full circle. He finally understood that his greatest achievement wasn't winning applause. It was inspiring someone else to believe in themselves. The world often tells us to imitate greatness, to become another version of someone already famous. But the most unforgettable people never become perfect copies. They become the first and only version of themselves. Miguel didn't replace Elvis. He honored him while discovering his own identity, proving that authenticity will always outshine imitation. Maybe you're chasing a dream that feels impossible. Maybe you've been told you're too ordinary, too old, too poor, or too late. Remember Miguel's journey. Greatness doesn't begin with perfect circumstances. It begins the moment you decide that your story is worth sharing. Somewhere, someone is waiting for the courage that only your voice can inspire. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson of all. Lou.